Hello and welcome to Empowerment. I'm Kelly Whetstone. Thank you for joining me today. It is 10 a.m. Pacific time on Tuesday, August 11th, 2026. I am very happy to be here today and very happy to have C.A. Brooks with me for our August 2026 Meeting of the Minds. 4 more months left in the year. It's just incredible. Um, I love it when CA joins me because we always have a good discussion. And if you want to be part of it, Empowerment is streaming live on YouTube right now, and you can join us in the chat there and post your comments. It's Empowerment with Kelly Whetstone, www.youtube.com/@ Kelly W1850. Aside from YouTube, you can find both of us on one2listen.com. I'm available every day, usually later morning Pacific time into the evening. If you happen to stop by, don't see me, or if I'm busy on a call, just put in a callback request, schedule a call. I'm notified immediately and I will get back to you as soon as I can. And I will always do my best to meet your schedule. Just a reminder, I like to go through announcements at the beginning of the show because One Two Listen is a wonderful, wonderful site. And we have reduced rates on calls and chats a few times a week, typically Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Well, always Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. But tomorrow is a doubly special day. It is 1-2 day. Everything at 1-2 Listen is 1-2. 1-2 Radio, 1-2 Academy. So the 12th of the month is a day that we celebrate every single month. So tomorrow is not only 1-2 day, but it is also the eclipse. So 1-2 day is great because it is our biggest sale day of the month. We have randomly reduced rates. Each one of us, our rates are randomly reduced throughout the day, and they change all the time. So it's fun. There's a fun energy to it. And so we're at our lowest prices on calls and chats. And we also have special prices on time-based sessions and other services. I'll have my 1-2 day replenish 15-minute time-based session at a very, very special price for the day. I will be online tomorrow about 11 a.m. Pacific into the evening, and I would love to talk to you. If you've not stopped by 1-2 Listen, if you've thought about it, 1-2 day is the day to do it. It really is. And also, if you'd like to be notified of our specials, go to 12listen.com and sign up for 1-2 promotions. While you're there, you can post what you're grateful for on the gratitude board. So I just want to say thanks again for being here today, and thank you for listening. However and whenever you do, you can access shows anytime you like on YouTube, and you can find listings for all of the hosts that have shows on YouTube at 12radio.com. So I just want to say thank you to Serena for producing the show today and all she does for us, which is an awful lot. And as you know, I've said "and" 3,500 times, haven't I, in the past few minutes? In the past 5 minutes. Oh, here we go. As you know, I'm always glad, as I said at the beginning of the show, to have CA on the show with me. CA is a 1-2 Listen advisor, a clairvoyant astrologer, animal communicator. She's an avid student of A Course in Miracles, among many other things, tarot being a biggie there. She writes the week ahead section of Mark Hessen's Power Peak, his weekly newsletter. I provide an article every single week under the heading of empowerment to that newsletter. I love it. I love the Power Peak. A lot of stuff. Mo has an article there. Ginger has an article there. And CA does all the heavy lifting. She does the week ahead section. She writes a great article. So if you've not checked out the Power Peak, I invite you to do that too. You can sign up for that on 12listen.com. She hosts Everyday Astrology, which immediately precedes Empowerment, live every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Pacific. Our Meeting of the Minds is what we call our show. Our Meeting of the Minds is where we can bring everything and anything to the table. Spirituality, astrology, tarot, feng shui, stories about families, dogs, whatever shows up during our conversation is welcome, because we just allow our conversation to organically go. After I set up the topic, I do have a topic to set up, and it's a starting point. It's a starting point. That's what the topic is. And because everything is welcome, and because we've known each other for a long time, and we have a great time talking to each other. The show is, I would say, usually interesting and always fun. So I'll have CA join me in just a couple of minutes. And as I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about, I kind of realized that this is going to be one of those pondering out loud shows, which I do often. If I have something that's been cooking in my head, but it's not quite done yet, but just I need to put some structure around it. I need to understand it better. It's just great to talk out loud about it. So, because that helps it to develop, it helps me to understand it and develop it in my consciousness and kind of go from there. Because one thing I've learned is there's a lot more to everything than we think. So that was profound, wasn't it? Um, giving you the example, what I want to talk about, what I want to start with today is self-concept. Neville Goddard said, "Our self-concept is what we accept and agree to as ourselves." Reverend Ike said, "We can never be greater than our own self-concept." And that's absolutely true because we live what we believe. And I would venture to say that we are limited more often than we are empowered by our self-concept. I've talked about this a million times because it is so important. We we get what we give, right? We attract what we vibrate at. No one can value us more than we value ourselves. And again, no one can limit us but ourselves. So, what struck me when I was thinking about this, because like I said, I've done many, many shows, written articles about it, and I love it because it gets deeper and deeper and deeper every time I look at it. And what dawned on me, or what's been cooking in my head, is the fact that our self-concept isn't just one thing, or isn't no, I'm just going to say it that way. It's not just one thing because we play many, many roles in our lives. No one is just one thing. For example, a woman is not just a woman. She may also be a mother, sister, daughter, friend, a teacher, banker, writer. She lives somewhere, so she probably takes care of her home. She may be an employee or she may be a boss. And in all of those things that I just mentioned, in all of those roles that I just mentioned, there are many roles incorporated in each one. So what I'm getting at is I think we have a concept of ourselves for everything we do and every relationship we have. And that is worth pondering. It really is worth thinking about. That's huge. So, and again, just to reiterate, that concept is what we accept and agree to as ourselves in every one of those roles. So think about what you say about yourself when you're talking about something that's not your strong suit. Here's my personal example. I'm not good at technology, quote unquote. So I've avoided it rather than learning about it, which I can do. I can learn about it because I am a good student. I really am. I love to learn. I love to study. I love projects and I love a challenge. So, I can do that. But my go-to has been I'm not good at technology. And I had the blessing of being married to someone who was extremely good at technology, who was extremely creative. Shannon did all my banners. I had a newsletter several years ago, and he put that thing together. I just wrote articles. He did pictures. He was just good at it because he loved it. I didn't. He used to say that Excel was his mother tongue, and he was just excellent at that. So you know, I didn't need to be good at it. Anyway, Ernest Holmes said, never speak lack. And that applies to far more than just money. Anything that we say we're not good at, anything that we make ourselves wrong for not knowing how to do or not doing, that's lack. And that is not a part of us because we each are the individualization of source. When I say I'm not good at technology, because that's my current challenge, I make myself small. And that doesn't feel good because I am limiting myself. No one limits us but ourselves. And again, we are each the individualization of source, limitless, infinite being. We have the capacity to do anything we desire to do. And I can tell you, this isn't on my plate right now to learn if it wasn't given me or instigated by God, who just wants to become more of itself through me learning about how to how to work the computer better, or do something creative on the computer. No, but the thing is too, no one can be good at everything in every area of life. If there was someone who was good at everything in every area of life, they would have no friends. None. They would be an island. Because who wants to be around somebody who's perfect at everything all the time? That's not real. That's not real. We're here, we're in this earth plane to fall down, scuff up our knees, and know that we can get back up again. We grow and we expand through overcoming adversity, through learning. And when you sit down to learn something, you're not going to be perfect at it in the first minute. You have to practice, you have to make mistakes. You have to because you don't know. And the thing is, though, no one can be good at everything. And the key is to accept that and get the help we need if we need it, or just realize that there are things that are simply not our cup of tea. And here's the biggest point of all. Never, ever compare ourselves to other people. Never. And I think that is where we really get messed up because so and so is so good at that and I'm not. So I make myself wrong because I'm not good at that. That's crazy, but we do it all the time. No two people do anything the same way. It's not possible. We're each a unique individual. Shannon and I love to entertain. He loved to cook. I do not. I love to clean and set the ambiance, set the stage for dinners and stuff. He did not. We had a good agreement without calling ourselves wrong for the things we preferred not to do. It comes down, as always, in every area of life, in everything, comes down to acceptance. Just acceptance. Do the best we can and accept the fact that our best is what it is at the time and be good with that. So that turned out to be a much more exciting topic than when I thought I just want to think about this out loud. But now I just want to see what CA has to say. How are you, CA? Thanks for joining me today.
Well, I am good. Thank you for inviting me today.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep. And I just want to shout out, we talked about this really briefly, but Kelly has a brand new picture on the site and that she's using on YouTube, she's using on When to Listen. And when I saw that picture, I said, oh my God, that's the inner Kelly. And when you talked about playing so many different roles, well, there's a part of you that is just so competent. And so, if you think about it in terms of hairstyle, coiffed, it's just perfect. I'm presenting an image. I am here. I know what I'm doing. But the Kelly that I know, at least partially, is the artist, the creative person who colors outside the lines all the time. And it was funny when I saw that picture, I said, there's the Kelly I know. There's the inner Kelly. And I thought it was funny because I do think that picture is a real departure in terms of what you've used in the past. And I think it's wonderful. I mean, I think it's a show of freedom, you
Thank
know?
you. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes. And I was like, oh my God. It was just like I said, a real eye-opening, oh my gosh, Kelly's not hiding. I mean, not I don't want to say you were hiding behind a picture. I don't want to say that. Or that you were hiding behind, a perfect image. It was just a role. And now you're saying, here, I'm presenting a different picture. And how many people, I know you talk about it on your show, but how many people do know that you're quite the artist? you know you
Oh,
are and that's a whole different. Being an artist is a whole different thing than like sticking to the rules you
oh,
know
yeah.
yeah. And
That's
so
the truth.
anyway, so I was really responding to those roles. But there's a couple of things that I wanted to say, because of course this really hits home.
Oh,
and
good,
and a
good.
couple of the things, though, and this one I just want to get out of the way. It's interesting about being good at something, because we live in a world right now that I really do believe is moving faster or quicker than it has moved in the past. Now, maybe that's not really fair, because if you'd ask my great great grandmother, she'd go, "Oh my God, you wouldn't believe what happened in my lifetime." I mean, when you think about even the early 1900s, with the invention of the car and the invention of the telegraph, the invention of the telephone, I mean, the world expanded at an incredible rate. But I feel like it's always speeding up somehow. And so when we talk about being good at something, the one thing that I feel is that being good or being an expert is a moving
Mhm.
target.
Correct, yeah.
And especially when you're talking about technology, because, like, for instance, when I got my master's degree in healthcare administration, I got a minor in information technology. Now, do
Mhm.
you ever think of me as being a techie person? My thought is you probably do not. But
Uh-huh.
there was one big takeaway when I got my degree. This was my big takeaway from studying as a minor information technology. And that is, this field moves so quickly, you will never have an expertise unless you make it a priority. And even in that moment, I decided that's not my priority. That's
Mm.
not where I want to spend all my time. And it was in some ways, it was a little depressing going, you just spent years taking all these classes and learning something that 2 weeks from now is going to be superseded by something else. And
Mhm.
indeed, it's kind of interesting, because as health administration, one of the first jobs I did do with that degree is I worked for a vice president of technology in a big hospital. And he wanted me to write basically a user manual for a 20-person department, because it was HR, and they had quickly realized that they didn't have anything written down. So literally,
Oh.
if one or two important people got sick, didn't come in, something happened to them, they wouldn't even know how to run the payroll, because
Oh my gosh,
those were the
wow.
people those were the people that knew which buttons to press when. And
Mhm.
and quite honestly, I am pretty, when it comes to words or when it comes to explaining things, if I can wrap my head around something, then I can break it down into all the pieces. So I literally wrote, I can't even remember, like 200 different policies, 200 different, like, you could look this up and say, okay, how do I run payroll? Payroll was then broken down into maybe 25 steps. Every single step, from minute, like, sit down in your chair, turn on the computer, hit this button, do this. I sat down with every single person in that department, and I detailed their job, especially as it
Holy
had to do.
cow.
I know it took me, I'm trying to think how long. It took me more than a year. I do know that.
Oh, it
It
had
took me
to have. Oh my
more than a
gosh.
year. And I wrote, they were put in 3-ring binders. But here's the thing, Kelly. Less than a year later, They
It was
switched.
obsolete.
It was obsolete because they changed their computer system, because computers were changing so quickly. And they
Right.
said, we're not doing this mainframe computer anymore. That's what they had. People who know those
Mhm.
old, mainframe servers and stuff. And so there was something so incredibly disheartening when I realized every single one of those procedures was now literally in a trash can. A year of my life. But here's the thing for all of us. So I want to say things are a moving target. So if you think you're going to become an expert at something, it really needs to be a priority. I mean, it needs to be
Mhm.
something that you love or something that you
Oh,
really
yeah.
want. But the other thing is, I didn't waste that year of my life. I made all those relationships, and those
Yeah.
relationships endured and changed my life. But
Mhm.
like I said, from the IT perspective, that's just really something to see a year of your work just, oh, there it is in the trash.
Right.
There it is. But it just reinforced certain things if you love them. And even like what we do. I mean, Mo and I were just talking about it on my show. As an astrologer, as a tarot reader, if I just stop and say, I'm not going to learn anything more, I'm not going to do anything, I'm the expert, it's like that's where I fail. That's where it all, in a sense, comes apart, because to me, it is a growing, interactive, ever changing expertise. There's always
Mhm.
something new to learn. So, here again, I'd sum it up as recognize that some things are a moving target. You probably could learn how to bake the best chocolate cake in the world, and you may never need to change it. But most of the things that we become experts at in our world are things that are going to quickly change. And so
Mm.
recognize it's a moving target and accept that. Like you said, accept it's a moving target. It's going to be different. And do you really love this enough to keep moving with the moving target?
Right.
Or do you have the desire to move with it, even if you're saying, I'm not sure I love it, but yes, I want to keep up with the expertise. And that's the important thing, is really looking at our lives and saying, what are the things that we really to keep up with? And what are the things that we're not as interested? And so there again, why should I feel bad about myself that I don't know all this technology? In fact, I was telling our producer Serena, I really am wanting to do something a little more advanced with YouTube, and, do the 3-minute shorts and that kind of thing. And yet I was looking online and I was reading all this stuff, and I realized I needed a dictionary. I mean, that's an old fashioned way of saying it, but I didn't know any of the terminology. It
Oh,
said, oh, you need this and this and this and this. And I'm like, I'm going to have to research every single one of those terms, because I didn't have any. I mean, I had some idea, but I don't know what those terms mean. And that was supposed to be the simple explanation. And so I thought, I'm going to try not to get totally overwhelmed and just say, you know what? It's as simple as figure out what those terms mean. Just like if you want to learn a new language, find out what those terms mean, step in. And then if you really decide, you know what? This just isn't interesting enough to me, this isn't worthwhile to me, then you can turn your attention to something else. So the other thing is just about being willing to set your priorities. Just like you said, maybe you don't want to be the best cook in the world. Maybe you don't.
yeah.
I mean, we don't have to be good at that stuff. And why would we want to?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and set the priorities and be willing to say, this is my priority. In fact, I remember too, truthfully, my sister, years and years ago, I probably shouldn't have identified it as a sister, but she literally said to me, when I was first studying astrology, she saw how involved I was getting, and it was just like calculate. I mean, there was no software, so I was calculating all these charts all the time.
Oh,
And
wow.
she said, I just don't understand why you waste your time doing this.
You're right.
And
She was right.
and
I didn't understand.
I did not say it, but I was like, and I don't understand why you would waste. I mean, she was up to date on every single daytime soap opera. because
Oh,
she recorded them all. And yet
wow.
I realized by my saying, and I can't understand why you do that, I was making the same mistake. So I didn't say it. But I remember thinking she would spend all of her non working hours trying to catch up on the soap operas. And I was just like clueless, like, oh my
Oh,
God, why would you do that? But she's
oh.
looking at me and came into my bedroom and said, why would you spend all these hours doing this? And
Mhm.
why? Because I loved it. It was
Right.
intriguing. It was interesting. And I couldn't stop myself from doing it. I mean, I knew I had hit something. I had hit a gold mine that was going to keep producing for a very, very long time. And it truly has. But on the other hand, not to be disparaging about the soap operas, I realize sometimes we get hooked into television shows or stories, and that's it because we love stories, you
Yeah,
know?
and they're an escape.
Yeah,
At
well,
the
they
end of the
escape
day, yeah,
and we
I
love stories. And so
yep.
if she felt like, hey, I'm working really hard and I don't even have the energy to, go out at night or do whatever I need to do or, to relate all the time, it's nice to just escape, or it's nice to just see how these people are relating. I want somebody to tell me a story. And so it's not fair to look at what somebody else has chosen as a priority and say,
Oh,
oh, well,
no.
that's not as good as mine. But it is so important to just, you said it, it has to do with our desire. Like
Mhm.
I can't make somebody else really love tarot or really love astrology or really love some of the other things that I love, but I can recognize I really do love it. It's what keeps me going, it's what entertains me,
Mhm.
and just say, that's my priority. That's what I want to be good at. So I basically agree with everything you said. It's just, so important that we not put ourselves down for not knowing something that
Mhm.
obviously probably isn't even important to us, you know?
Right. Well, and I think too that we do, um, compare ourselves to other people a lot,
Yeah,
and that's just a big black hole.
yeah. Well, and the other example I've given, and I may have told you this, I've never been much of a video game player. I mean, in fact,
Mhm.
that just escapes me. Like, talk
Mhm.
about why would you be interested in that? And I remember, I don't remember how long ago this was, but I want to say at least 30 years. It was like kind of the beginning of some of those games. And I don't know if,
Mhm.
which game it was, but it was a really, really popular game. And you had to move up level after level after level. Well, anyway,
Yeah.
so my nephew had it and he's showing me how to play. Well, anyway, I'm playing along and I'm enjoying it. I mean, I say that with a little trepidation. But anyway, at one point he goes, oh, no, wait, you have to get on that brick and you have to jump up and grab that.
Mm.
And I said, why? And he goes, oh, because there's a bonus under there. And I said, you mean every time you play this, it's the same? Because, see, I thought it was different every single time. And he
Oh,
goes, oh, no. He goes, you advance levels by knowing where all the bonuses are and how you learn. And you learn through each level to get to the next one. I said, okay, I'm done. I'm not interested. And it was funny because he's like, what? And I go, if it's not different every time, I'm not interested. And I realized, because if I'm going to learn something, I'm going to go learn some astrology, or I'm going to go learn something I'm interested in. I'm not going to learn which flower pot has the bonus. And yet I know that gamers, they just go, what's the matter with her? And there is a sense of accomplishment from moving from level to level to level. But I just
yeah.
recognized right then, I thought, that means nothing to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wanted it to entertain me and be different every time. And so just recognizing, no, okay, this isn't for me, you know?
Right. Right.
And that's all it is going, no, this isn't me. This isn't, you know, what trips my trigger. And just
No.
going with that.
No, and it's also because Bo loves it. They have, what do they have? I can't even, Nintendo. Nintendo
Uh-huh.
Switch, I think is what it's called. I have no idea what that is other than I know the name of it. And he plays, I think they play Super Mario Brothers,
Yeah.
the original video games, Pac-Man, Super Mario Brothers, all of those. And he loves it.
Yes.
He just loves it. And he's really smart. And when the thing I love about Bo, I love to watch him do anything, including eat, because when he eats, he just eats.
How old
He's
is
not
he
talking
now?
to his sister. He just turned 6. He
Okay.
turned 6 last month or in June. And, he's not Maisie's all over the place. She's doing 10 things, drawing a picture while she's eating breakfast. And he just eats.
Yeah.
And he pays attention to that. And I just love to watch him because he's absorbed in what he's doing, no matter what it is. And I think that's pretty good for a boy, number one, and a
Mm-hmm.
6-year-old boy, 5-year-old boy. He's always been that way. But he loves those games and he's really good at it. But the one that he really loves is along with it, I can't say his first favorite, but they have Just Dance. I don't know if you know what that is.
I don't.
It's it's on their bit. They have a big screen TV, and it's called Just Dance, and it's cartoon like you know uh, cartoon people basically,
Uh-huh.
not cartoons, but whatever you want to say, um,
Animated people, yeah.
dancing, dancing to like the one that Jared sent me a video of. He was dancing to Hot Stuff, that disco song,
Mm-hmm.
Donna Summer.
Yeah.
And you follow along with what the dancers are doing on the screen. And he was just out there having just doing all the moves and everything, watching these guys. And Jared goes, he loves that. At 5 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock at night, Bo's in there just dancing.
Oh, that's funny.
It
Because it
really
feels
is.
good. It feels good.
Yeah.
It gets his endorphins or whatever moving.
Yeah. And I said, man, that kid is going to be the perfect date. Any boy that can dance,
Yes.
loves to dance, loves music. He's a catch.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. That
Really
is
cute.
so funny. But that also brings up something, and I don't know if I'm going off on a detour here or not, but it's the
Oh,
concept
go.
of, in different people, being able to watch somebody do something and just imitate them right away versus the ones who
Mhm,
don't. And
mhm.
I bring this up because, I've taken a lot of dancing classes. And I
Oh,
certainly
mhm.
want to watch somebody dance, but I know for the most part, my style, I have to be able to mentally figure it out. I
Sure.
can't just simply imitate. I've got to mentally figure it out. And years ago, and I mean, and here again, I've been tapping and doing clogging for years, like maybe a decade. So, I mean, I was
It's
pretty good
amazing.
at it. And, for
Mm,
a lot of
yeah.
people, I could follow. But there again, I was almost better when somebody said, okay, we're going to start with a time step to the right. I was almost better with that than somebody doing it and me trying to figure out what it was
Uh-huh,
because it was a mental thing. But I took my niece,
uh-huh.
and she was like 4 or 5 years old, and she wanted to learn how to do this. And so I took her to like this all day workshop in which there were various levels. And for the most part, it started out with beginning and moved through intermediate. And then after lunch, it went into more advanced. Well, what I was shocked at is this little kid could mimic what the teacher was doing. And she was kind of like the last person on the floor at the end of the day. And I thought
Wow.
I could never follow a teacher like that. And she was, just a fraction of a second behind her. And it's always
Wow.
intrigued me. It's intrigued me about the way the brain works. I thought, how does she do that? And I even asked her at one point, I said, how do you follow her when you don't know what the next step is? And she, of course, said, I don't know. I just watch her.
Because she's limitless and she
Yeah.
didn't you know, put
But
any
it's like
boxes
I
around it. She
couldn't.
just did it.
I couldn't. I almost needed somebody to say, "We're going to do 4 times steps to the right. We're going to do 2 to the left. Then we're going to go forward with a such and such." It's like I could follow, but I would never be right there with the teacher. I mean, I needed to understand it in my head. And there again, I
Yeah.
needed to see it on paper. And yet, this little kid,
Uh,
she fought, and I was like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like it. How she was able to, in a split second, just follow whatever the teacher was doing. Now, it doesn't mean she was
mhm,
doing all the steps correctly, but I could tell. See, I would have been still on my right foot when the teacher was doing something to the left because I was definitely a
mhm,
second or more behind, not this little kid,
mhm,
and so
mhm.
there again, the brain works so differently. And I'm thinking about him just dancing and following, and he's probably not even thinking, what is she going to do next? He's just having a good time, just following her.
Exactly. Just doing what
Because
they
like you
do,
said,
and he
he's
loves to do
in the
it.
moment. He's in the moment. This is what I'm attending
Mhm.
to. Whereas I think that is probably true of me. I'm like, my mind, I always kind of have this issue of, it's going off to the side somewhere, you know?
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
thinking
yeah.
about something, I'm calculating something. And in fact, sometimes somebody will even go, CA, where'd you go? And it's like, I didn't even realize I was gone. I mean, I'm sure my eyes were just like, you know,
Zoned out.
yeah. And they're like, where'd she go? I blame it on being a Pisces. But that's it. I just recognize my mind. I have to really train my mind to say, if this is important, then you have to stick with it. Because otherwise you are trying to figure out something else. You're
Right.
off somewhere trying to figure out. And in fact, that's something. Yeah, it just is. And so that kind of goes back to though being good at something. What are you willing to do, even if it's not like, let's say you really want to learn something that you feel like isn't in your niche.
Mhm.
What are you willing to do to adapt to learn that thing?
Yeah,
To be
or at
to be
least
good at it.
enough of it. At
Uh
least
huh.
enough of it. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? Enough of it to, um at least enough of it to know that, you could push yourself a little further, or this really isn't my gig.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm but at least try. I think that's where it's
Yeah.
easy to not try.
Right. Right.
Yeah. But I think too, I agree with you as far as just, you know, my head's always doing a million things at one time, and I have to stop myself and go, "Okay, okay, what is it right now that I'm supposed to be doing?" Because I'll be going, "Oh yeah, I need to go in and take the laundry out of the dryer, and fold it
Hmm.
and stuff." But midway there, I realized that I hadn't wiped off the kitchen counter,
Right.
so I start doing that,
Yep.
and it's like, just knock it off.
Yep.
I have I have that voice inside my head going, "You're off track. You're off track."
Yep. Well, and I know what you're talking about. I mean, sometimes I don't even realize I'm doing it. I mean, like I'll be watching a TV show, and the next thing I know, I'm in my bedroom doing something. And I'll go, wait a minute, you're watching a show. And of course, what I really realize, it must not have been holding your attention because without even making
Right.
a conscious choice, you got up and walked out of the room. So your head
Yeah.
really wasn't there at all, you know?
Oh, I
And
know.
like I say, sometimes I'm just kind of laughing because I recognize I did not make a conscious choice. I just did it. And I
Mhm.
really don't like to be that out of the moment, you know?
No. No, but
I
if you think of
do
it,
it. I do it.
there's I know. I know. But, but I also think too sometimes, even though it might seem off track, it's like I walk into the room, like maybe I walk into the bedroom to get my laundry, and realize I didn't put something away. And I'll stop and do that because I think, there is a positive thing to if you walk into a room and see something that needs to be done, just do it.
Yes.
I really think I think that's important too. So I don't know. It's six of
I
one,
think
half
it,
dozen of the other.
you know what? I think it's absolutely important. And I think with me, though, I just want to consciously know that I've made a choice. What I don't
Hmm.
like is when I realize, like I said, that I just stopped right in the middle of a show and just walked out of the room without ever really, in a sense, making a conscious decision. It's
Yeah.
one thing for something to come across your mind and go, okay, I'm gonna pause the show and I'm gonna go do that. But
Hmm.
it's more like all of a sudden I just realize I'm doing the other thing. And I'm
Hmm.
just like, oh, the TV's still on. What was I watching? Or, whatever. And I think what I'm saying, Kelly, is I really want to be in the moment. I want to be attending to whatever I think is important for my attention. I want to prioritize it,
Hmm.
you know?
Uh-huh. That makes sense.
I just want to,
Yeah.
I don't want to be, what would I call it? A scatterbrained. And I don't think I
Yeah.
really am scatterbrained most of the time,
No. No.
but I don't want to be that way either,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh, I do. I do. It's just, I don't know. It's just interesting. And sometimes
Yes.
you just go, oh, how funny.
Yeah.
I'm in here doing this when I was watching TV. How funny.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
and you just
and
go along with
yeah.
it.
Well, and the other thing is just about this whole talk about not making ourselves wrong for not knowing something. And I think about that too, because sometimes I find myself in situations or in groups where whatever the important thing is, it's not something that's important to me.
Yeah.
And so then, but oftentimes I look at it from the perspective what's really important to me is being with this person or showing support
Mhm.
or having a relationship with this person. So I'm not going to judge it on the basis of am I good at golf or am I good at whatever it is they want to do that I'm not good at, because
Mhm.
that's not my goal.
Mhm.
Just really understanding, like, because sometimes, I can get into, well, I don't like that, so I'm not going to go. Or, oh, you're going to
Yeah.
go eat sushi. I don't eat sushi. That kind of
Yeah.
thing. Whereas you're
Right.
missing the point. They want to go have lunch together. Now, I think it's perfectly okay to say, I know you guys love sushi. I mean, and I use that as an example because
Mhm.
that seems to be the one. Like, I know people, they kind of have sushi groups and they want to go have sushi. And that's like, no, 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 no. I don't eat seafood. I don't eat
Oh.
seaweed. I don't like any of it. I don't
Oh.
like any of it. And I don't like the smell of it. You know,
Okay.
no crab, no lobster, no shrimp, no seafood, no
Mhm.
sushi. And I've tried. I mean, that's the thing. I have tried and I just go, no, 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 no. And so I've kind of learned in that situation, their goal is to all go out and get sushi. So that doesn't match the goal. But if they say, hey, let's all go out and have lunch, then
Mm.
I'm going to say, let's go someplace where I can get something, you know?
Mhm.
I mean, so once
Mhm.
again, understanding what the goal is. But with the sushi group, it's like, no, I don't belong there. you know,
Yeah.
I
No,
don't
just
belong.
no, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it several times where I just got a plate of food in front of me and I go, nope, this isn't it.
Mhm.
I just can't eat it. I mean, I really, really, really do not like seafood and it doesn't like me,
Mhm.
you
Well,
know?
that's
But
legitimate. Yeah.
yes, but like I said, is the goal to go out to lunch? Or is the goal, I mean, is the goal to go spend time with people that you like and enjoy? Or is the goal sushi?
Right.
Just like, I mean, it would be the same thing. Let's say, and this has happened to me before too. Let's say, like, I love James Bond movies. I
Mhm.
know it's kind of weird. I love them. Didn't love them, didn't like them really in my youth or when they were really out there, but somewhere after like 2000, I just,
Mhm.
maybe because then they were kind of campy. They were kind of history. They were kind of nostalgic.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah, yeah.
so Now, I love the James Bond. I don't love every single one, but I love the James Bond genre. And so when a new one has come out, I'm like, "Ooh, we got to go see the James Bond movie." And then somebody will go, "Oh, no, let's go see another movie." And I go, "No, you don't get it. I want to go see the new James Bond movie." Other times
I'll
it
go
is
by
like,
myself.
"Hey, yeah, let's go see a movie." But no, it's like, "No, I want to go see James Bond." And by the way, I mean, I think those are some of the distinctions in life that, if we're real clear on them, it really helps. Because I'm not telling
Right,
this other person I don't want to spend time with you. I do.
right,
But I'm
right.
telling you this afternoon, I want to spend time with James Bond. And so, do you want to come spend time with James Bond with me? And then 2 days from now, yeah, what do you want to do? Let's go find something to do together. And
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I spent so much of my life not understanding that distinction,
Mhm.
you know?
No,
And
it
oh
makes
my gosh,
sense.
I
I
realize it's
understand what you're
getting
saying.
really late. It's getting really late. I guess
Oh, yeah.
because, sorry, Serena. I realize the
Um,
time just flew by today, Kelly.
it always does, CA. You know
Well,
that.
I know it does,
Um,
but today it
I
really
know.
did.
It did. It was a fun conversation. Well, everyone, I just want to say thank you for joining us today. You've been listening to Empowerment. I'm Kelly Whetstone. We're here on YouTube. And my special guest today was C.A. Brooks. I just wish you all a very blessed week. Remember, tomorrow is 1-2 day. CA, will you be available? You be around?
Absolutely. I am making it a priority. I
Good,
will
good,
I
good.
will be around on 1-2 listen for 1-2 day celebrating that new moon eclipse.
Oh, yes, yes. The new moon eclipse, huge. Anyway, everyone, thank you so much for being here. I wish you a very, very blessed week. Bye bye.